What's up, y'all? It's Lawrence from Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. It's been a long time. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Today I'm unboxing my Batman and Robin DC Multiverse wave. I know I'm a little late to the party, but we got some dope comparisons with other movie figures, other comic book figures, the original toy line. So you're going to want to see what I got cooking. Let's go. Boom. Here we are, man. The Batman and Robin wave. What's so great about this wave, I can get them all in there. I can't even get them all in. What's great about this wave is like this movie was universally panned by like every Batman fan, every moviegoer. Might be the worst comic book movie of all time, let alone definitely the worst Batman movie. But this wave is so sought after, man. So that's pretty ironic. Now I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Before we even get this open, I'm keeping it 100 with you. I was all over this film. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed it. I knew something was off when I went to the movie theaters. Probably like much of you who were old enough to go to the movie theaters when this came out. You went with excitement, but something was just off. Something was really off about this film, but I always loved the costumes. I didn't even notice the nipples like that. I loved the costumes so much. Like, I got receipts. I got this when the movie came out, just because I was so into just the look and the costumes and the colors. Visually, I enjoyed this movie visually. To me, that's a freaking dope bat suit. So when these figures came out, whether I loved the movie or not, I always loved the aesthetic of this film. Now, I didn't love Freeze. Thought he looked kind of weird. But Poison Ivy looked great, man. And Robin looked dope. I wasn't a fan of the ice costumes. You know, the cod piece was a little weird. So I am happy they, went with that bad boy. But I really loved the costumes, man. Shea Bane. So I got receipts. This book came out in like what? 1997, okay? So I'm not one of these guys buying these figures who hated this movie. There was something I really enjoyed about this movie, and that was the aesthetic. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's open these bad boys up. Let's start off with Batman. You guys have already seen this Batman. He was part of the movie pack. Excuse me, had to reach to get my razor blade. He was part of that movie pack with the other movie Batman. And I believe it's probably the same exact figure. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's look at the packaging. I've had this for a while, so I'm really excited to get it open. So I'm sorry that I'm flying by. But typical Mcfarlane packaging, except we get this hit of this red with the Batman and Robin logo, which is nice. It kind of gives it its own uniqueness, but still is in uniform with the rest. And on the back we have really, this cover is literally where these cards are in that Mr. Freeze, and it gives you the instructions on how to build the Build-A-Figure. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Freeze, Mr. Freeze. Now, let's get this bad boy open. And I was talking to the other fellas, the Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. And I haven't watched this movie in a long time, but I thought that this movie might hold up in a very interesting way. I thought that if you look at this movie like we watched the Adam West series, like it's a live action Batman 66, this movie works. Now, when this movie came out, we had Batman the Animated Series. We still had the Burton films in our head. Batman Forever was dope. So I think it was too much of a departure. But now, since we've had so many different Batmans, you know, years ago we had Batman Brave and the Bold, which was an awesome kind of golden age show. And, you know, we've shown so much love to Adam West, especially towards when he passed away, just the love that was given to him. I think if you watch this film going, it's a live action Adam West, it's probably not too bad. Or it's bad in the right ways, you know? That George Clooney wasn't trying to give you the sequel to the Keaton films or even the Kilmer film. He was giving you that straight up Adam West. All right, let's get him out the package. I hate the way their capes are packed. Oh, here we go. Let's just pop this in. And there you go. That's the card right there. And the back, you can freeze that if you want. I think it just explains the plot of the film. We'll compare it to the rest. But here's our Batman, man. And it's pretty much the exact same thing that we got in the movie pack. But I will say that this cape is amazing. It's amazing. It's so soft and pliable. It's like, yeah, it's really great. I wish Mcfarlane made all his capes like this because, you know, sometimes the capes make it really hard for the figures to stand because they're so heavy. Mcfarlane figures already have a hard time standing, but this cape is so dope. It's a great cape. All right, now let's take a look at this figure. You got the typical Mcfarlane articulation. Feels really good. And even though he's not supposed to be able to turn his head, the way they sculpt the head to the neck, it gives you that illusion if you want it. But he is an action figure. And I've said this before. Within the realm of the film, those bat suits are way more mobile than they are in real life. So within the film, he can turn his head. Within the film, he can do a backflip in this rubber suit. Within the context of the film. So I don't want my figures to be the actors stuck in these suits that can't move. I want my figures to capture the fantasy of what the suits did in the realm of the movie, if that makes sense. But figure looks dope, man. You've seen this before. And honestly, oh wait, I'm sorry. Before I get ahead of myself, I mean, that looks like George Clooney, doesn't it? And the blacked out bat symbol. I mean, this is great. And the nipples are here. The bat logo on the belt is sick. The gauntlets. Or I guess these aren't gauntlets, these are just gloves. And they, you know, they all had that kind of throwback to the original Keaton gloves. The Kilmer, this one, of course, the Returns, all had a throwback to that original Batman 89 figure. And you got these awesome boots that have the wrinkling of the leather like he had in the movie with the bat emblems on top. Bats everywhere. And, you know, this is just a blacked out figure with no color, but the sculpt is fantastic. And for those of you wondering, this is the one from the movie pack. And as you can see, they look exactly the same, except this has a cloth goods cape. They are essentially the same figure. This one might be a little glossier, but they're the same figure. You don't need to get this one if you have this one already. But if you want that Build-A-Figure Mr. Freeze, and I wasn't really gonna go for the Build-A-Figure Mr. Freeze, but I didn't want to take him out of my movie Batman display to display him with the Robin, because I was just gonna get the Robin. I didn't want to do that. So now I'm gonna have my Batman and Robin display. He gets to sit with the other Batman across the multiverse. But yeah, this one's a little glossier, but that can just be a factory thing. Your figure may not be as glossy, but dope figure, man, dope figure. Let's move on. Now, we're just gonna speed this up. I'm gonna snap my, wait, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself again. Lawrence is always getting ahead of himself. And he stands good with that cape. Let's look at these accessories, and then I'm not gonna put you through me unboxing all of these. I will definitely fast track this thing to get them all out. But let's look at these accessories. I wasn't gonna get it, and then I decided to, and then Mcfarlane took too long, and I think I also had 2 coming from Target. I didn't do them all together like I should have, and it was getting delayed. So guys, if you don't know about it, figurineforall.com. I went to figurineforall.com, and they had the wave there, and honestly, not really much above retail. You are paying extra for shipping because I think they're Canadian, but I got this wave, and I feel like it would have been the same if I got it from the Mcfarlane store, because Mcfarlane store, that shipping is real. That shipping is really real. So if y'all looking for figures, check out figurineforall.com. They are the ones that blessed me. Oof, maybe I'll put that link. If they're still there, I'll put the link in the bio. If they're still there. All right. So we get Mr. Freeze's legs, as you can see. And we get these iced features, which I believe will go on his hands. Looks like it. There's no real instructions, but I saw pictures, so it goes in his hands. Like when he was frozen, I guess, in that silo or whatever. Which was a pretty great scene, man. That opening scene was pretty fun. And honestly, I do love the Nolan films, but I don't need my Batman super realistic. There has to be a bit of fantasy, even a bit of camp, because I do want to see villains like Clayface pop up. I want to see a Mr. Freeze pop up, and you can't be so super realistic that you can't do some of his rogues, or at least that's my opinion. Anyways, let's just unbox these real quick. Boom. And we're back. I gotta keep it real with you. That took a stupid amount of time to cut all these little plastic tie things. But all the figures are unboxed. Before I move on, I'm gonna do a little comparison real quick. We have this Mcfarlane figure that came out in 2023. Then I have this bad boy from 1997. This was the original Batman and Robin figure we got. It has 4 points of articulation, and it didn't come with a cape. This cape is actually from I think a motorcycle Batgirl from the Batman and Robin line. He came with some stupid plastic thing that got stuck in here, and I jammed something in here when I was younger. I have no idea what it is. But this actually was a pretty cool figure, man. It looked nothing like the actual suit, and you don't really have Clooney in there too much. But for a kid's figure, we didn't care about that stuff at all. And I loved the gray. So it didn't match the movie, but it was still a really fun toy. And if anybody's knocking the price points of toys today, I feel you. But we've come a long way from what used to be on the shelf. A long way. Anyways, so next up, let's grab this Poison Ivy figure, man. She comes with the body of Freeze, as you can see. And here's her card before we get all into it. Uma Thurman was so good in this movie. You might hear my son in the background. He's having a really great time with his mom right now. And you can, and it's the same thing on the other card. So, cool card, man. Cool card. This is the figure, and it doesn't really look like her, but it's a great representation of the movie Poison Ivy, and like all these leaves right here look so good. And this is sculpted all around her leg. That's sculpted, that's not just paint. And the way the green just fades, it's all one solid color, except these heels. It's as if she put on heels, which is interesting. I thought they were boots in the movie, but who cares? It fades wonderfully, how he just uses the different greens and the shading here. And these, yeah, this is all sculpted in her little sleeve thingy. Great sculpting, and if you want, you can even probably bring out these because they get a little lost. And the detail, her palm has that leaf, and it did in the movie. That's just great detail right there. And her, let's get a better look at this head. There we go, and it's perfect. Now this could use a little color so it doesn't look like it's, or was that her hair in the movie? I guess I can check the book, but I'm not gonna do that. No, it's on the card, excuse me. No, it is her hair. Kind of coiled up. Okay, her hair can use like a wash, because it, you know, just to bring it out. It wasn't just one solid matte color, but who cares? It's very flexible. You are hindered, you know, you can't really move her head. The hair is all in the way. And that's cool. But it's pretty soft. It's pretty soft. Now, what's really cool about these figures is that they are not super realistic, as far as there's a cartoony comic element to these figures. So if you want to put her as your Poison Ivy in your comic book display, I mean, I think she kind of works. I think she works. I think they look like they're in the same universe. You know, it doesn't look like she's so realistic it doesn't fit. I think these work really, really well together. So if you're not into this wave, but you want a Poison Ivy, I think she would fit this wave of comic figures. Excuse my son. Let me know what you think. But it's a great figure, man. Great articulation, except for the head can't do nothing, but an arm goes up that far. This can go all the way. This is a little hindered. But good figure. Let's move on to the next. Will she stand? Is the question. Will she stand is the question. And she does. Yo. All right, next up. I was so excited for this character. I love the Bat family. And we're gonna get our first live action Batgirl in, you know, not Yvonne Craig's the first live action Batgirl, but I mean a cinematic Batgirl, I was excited. And here we have Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. I loved her costume. I always wondered how they were going to make a Batgirl costume in the same vein as Batman and Robin suits. And honestly, they knocked it out the park. They knocked it out the park. And this figure looks dope. The likeness she doesn't look like Alicia Silverstone, but that is an amazing face sculpt. That is a really good face sculpt. I love the domino mask and the details in her suit. I mean, it's spot on. It is spot on to how she was represented in the film. The cape isn't as soft as that Clooney one, but it is sculpted actually a little better. Yeah, this is softer, but it doesn't have, as my boy Jack would say, the texture. But this one looks like it's leather blowing in the wind. And it's not so obnoxiously blowing in the wind. You know, Mcfarlane will do a cape where it's like you can only pose them in one direction with the rest of your display, but this is good. This is pretty great. I love this. I'm so happy I decided to get the whole wave. And your typical Mcfarlane articulation, these feel great. Up, arm up, head. You can turn it, but it's kind of weird with the hair. And then it's hindered turning it this way. Let's take a more detailed look. That is great. Sorry, I think they're playing music out there. So you're gonna hear them. My wife and my son playing music. But even the details of the wrinkles in the gloves and how her glove goes all the way up. That's great, because you know, the suits had, I won't say flaws, but it looked like suits. It wasn't like they were just painted on them. And I love that this figure is capturing that. And of course the butt, because with all the figures, Schumacher had a thing of the way they suited up. And these thigh-high boots with all the details and the wrinkles. And yes, she had heels in the film. Why would Uncle Alfred make Barbara's suit have heels? I have no idea. Now let's compare it to that 1997 Batgirl, which I have to say, I thought the likeness kind of looked a little like Alicia Silverstone. A little dust, sorry. Now, I think the figures were made with the concept art from, you know, the filmmakers. That's why she has a cowl. I think that's why her emblem's like that. But this was also, always thought this was pretty dope. Of course, no articulation here, but I love these sculpts. Way better. I didn't get any of the Batman Forever figures. I didn't like the way they looked at all, but I did enjoy the way these look. And even though this isn't movie accurate, as a kid, it was movie accurate enough for me. And I love the idea of these kind of like light plastic capes that were introduced. They were perfect. So we've come a long freaking way. Stand her right here. Look at her card. Says the same exact thing as the other ones. Get out of here. And this is the body of the cool, cruel Mr. Freeze. Now, on to the figure that I had to have. The figure that was a must-have. Yo. When they introduced Robin in Batman Forever, I almost lost my mind. Robin is one of my favorite characters of all time. He is the one, and when I was a kid, I imagined being. I didn't imagine myself as Batman. I imagined myself as Robin. And when Chris O'Donnell came out in Batman Forever in that Tim Drake Robin suit, I went crazy. But then in this film, when he showed up in this kind of Nightwing suit, chef's freaking kiss. I can't wait for there to be a Batman Forever wave because I got to have that Tim Drake kind of suit. But I really love this suit as well. It's not red on the inside. In the movie, it was red on the inside. So Mcfarlane, you missed that one. But outside of that, this joint is dope. This joint is dope. Oh, man. So let's take a look at this. You get that. First of all, it kind of looks like Chris O'Donnell in a comic cartoon interpretation of him. Like, these aren't Hot Toys, and they're not supposed to be dead-on likenesses. It's a little bit abstract, which I actually like, because I think they can fit with your comic figures. But anyways, that emblem is dope. They nailed it. And the Robin logo on the belt, and how it goes all the way down. And it'd be great if it was, if they can, they should have painted the elbow joint. That would have been nice. But, was it painted all the way? Yeah, it went all the way down in the movie. There wasn't a break. And then, of course, he has his own right here, which was cool that they gave that to Robin. And his cape is similar to the Batgirl's, where it's not as light as the Clooney's, but it's still very light. It's not a heavy-duty Mcfarlane cape. And, of course, the backside, the bat buns. And his boots, you know, he even has that Robin logo in his boots. And just how wrinkled they are. It's perfect. I wish these came with more accessories, like the batarangs and the Robin rings, whatever you called it. But, look at that. That is so dope. That is so freaking fire. This is an amazing figure, man. I am so happy. Focus. Great articulation. Oh man, I highly recommend these. Boom. Oh, knee's a little stiff, but that's all right. Typical Mcfarlane articulation. Now, I have this bad boy. And it was weird because they made him blue here, which was interesting. But I'll tell you what I do like better about the original. Focus. Is that red paint? It's almost metallic on this figure. And I feel like this red could be more red. It's kind of like a low brown. The red, I think, could pop more. It popped way more in the film. Maybe it's not this ruby red, but it's not this kind of browny red. But this was the figure. They kind of went all Nightwing all the way down without the, what's it called? Whatever this is called, the spikes, which was cool. Gave him some weird boots. It wasn't a great, like I said, screen to figure, but it was a great representation, and that was good enough for me. And did he have a little like Robin logo on the back or something in the movie? I think he might have. I have to check the book. Won't do that right now. You guys can check. Google it for me. But yeah. And what's really great about this figure is, like, each Batman movie, whether it's Burton, whether it's Adam West, they all contribute to the canon of the comics. And I think that he is the prototype for this guy. It's pretty cool because, you know, Nightwing is typically blue. And when they made him red in New 52, it was like, yo, it's exactly, you know, it's almost an exact representation. And they gave him, you know, the spikes too. It's almost an exact representation of what Batman and Robin was, you know. And you customizers, I would love to see if you like remove his cape and paint this blue, if that's on your mind to do so. But this is so dope. And like even the details here where his gloves, like, It's like sculpted like real gloves. Like there's a separate material here. So you have to imagine like this is harder over here. And over here is a little softer, more flexible. Just that attention to detail is dope. Mcfarlane kills his movie figures, man. He might, the face sculpts might be hit or miss, but usually the sculpt of the suit, you know, that freaking Black Adam Rock figure is amazing. And this one's great too. Now, for those of you wondering, like, man, I just want the Robin figure. I wonder how he will look with Kilmer. If Kilmer showed up for Batman and Robin, this might have been his suit. His all blacked out sonar suit that he ended with. Let's bring him down a little bit. We could have got this for Batman and Robin. We could have got this. It's somewhere in the multiverse. This is Batman and Robin. Kilmer stayed. That's pretty dope. And they look pretty great together. They look great together. You know? One can dream. And I love Clooney, but it's cool to like wonder. And with your figures, you can mix and match. And we'll get into that a little more later. I want to bring this guy out because that's pretty cool. What happened? You know... Sorry, I was looking at a factory flaw on the Kilmer. And he comes with these dope ice effects because, you know, when he was running, he got frozen. I'm not sure how to do it. Oh, okay. I think he goes here, for those of you wondering. Or it probably, it probably does this. I don't know. I definitely think this is legs for sure. I don't know. Somebody help me. How is this supposed to go? Oh, I see. I see. That way. Man, I guess it's pretty, you can figure out different ways, but like, that doesn't look right. I'll figure it out. But anyways, that's the wave. Let's take a look at his card real quick. Where did I put his card? Here we go. And I showed it to you earlier. You know what it is. Same thing that's on the other ones. Now let's put together this Mr. Freeze figure. Now this is pretty exciting. This, you know, I wasn't going to be so into it, but then the idea, it's going to be such a fun display of this movie. All we need is Bane. We don't really need Bane. Like I said, I appreciate the aesthetic of the film, but I actually don't need to recreate the movie. I don't think anyone loved it that much, but there is a Bane. I forget which Bane it is. Not the main Bane that came out that's like $200 right now, but the other one. I think he kind of physically looks like he can be a match for this. I think somebody made it. This is actually pretty easy to put together, and this is really flexible. So he's going to probably have pretty good articulation. This is my first Build-A-Figure. I've never actually completed a Build-A-Figure wave before. I've always got the figures I wanted and just, you know, threw the arms and the parts in a bin. But I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Because, you know, Poison Ivy's the figure I probably wouldn't have gotten. But if I'm going to get Batman, Robin, Batgirl. Now that my concern always with these Build-A-Figures is it just going to fall apart? The answer is yeah. So, you guys let me know if you buy this for your kids. Are Build-A-Figures good for playing with, or are they more so collectors? Items where they kind of just stay in one place. This is pretty dope. They gave him a gun. Thank you, Mcfarlane, for giving Mr. Freeze a gun. That whole, you know, Warner Brothers mandate, DC Comics mandate or whatever, making it so none of the characters can have a gun. Doesn't work for some characters. That's why I didn't get that 66 line on Mr. Freeze, because he didn't have a gun. Mr. Freeze needs a gun. He's Mr. Freeze. And this is great. This can come in and out. And that's it. Now, this figure can use a wash for sure. There's so much interesting details. Let me raise this up just a little bit. There's so many interesting details in this suit that you're not getting because it's all just one color. But you see the lines here and all the mechanical stuff and a lot of attention to detail, man. That's just all getting lost. But it's a dope figure. Articulations there. This can go up pretty easily because of this. It's pliable. But, yo, let's take a look at this freaking head sculpt, man. Ugh. That's Arnold. That is Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. None of their head sculpts look as clean as this guy. This is dope. I don't know if he can be your comic Mr. Freeze. I don't know if he's gonna, let me drop it down. I don't know if he'll aesthetically match. Maybe. But that's Arnold Schwarzenegger for sure. Now, one of my favorite figures ever, you know, he'll never replace this guy. But it's cool to have two Mr. Freeze figures in the collection. One comic book, one Arnold. I did wish in the movie that his face wasn't exposed because it felt like you're supposed to stay cool. You should have a helmet like this guy, and that way Batman can always crack it and it can get real dramatic. But anyway, just want to show you a little comparison between these two guys. And that's the Mr. Freeze figure, man. Now, real quick before I get out of here, will he stand? They ain't come with an extra figure stand, although I got a million of them. Well, just lean him up against this box. Lean him up against. He's not standing correctly. Let me get a figure stand, sorry. Thank you for bearing with these kind of fun videos, man. I don't do too many edits. You know, I like you to hear my geeky excitement as I'm doing it and thinking it. So real quick, it's just really cool to think like this Michael Keaton. And like, what if that's his partner? You know? What if in this universe is Batman and Batgirl? You know? If Michael Keaton showed up and was in Batman Forever, and then of course was Batman and Robin. How dope! I mean, that's what's really cool about these figures, and Mcfarlane is giving us so many just great movie figures and just figures in general, because you can mix and match. You can create your dream display, and if Keaton's your favorite freaking Batman and you love Chris O'Donnell as Robin, you know, who's to say these two guys can't be on the shelf? Now, I know he has nipples, but, you know, it's fine. You do whatever you want. You can literally do whatever you want. You know, and let's say you want your Batman and Robin figures to have a sweet freaking ride. And I hated the freaking Batman and Robin Batmobile. Not a fan of that Batmobile at all. You know? But let's say you want to mix and match, have some fun with your display. Who's to say that you can't grab that Batmobile from the Batman and freaking throw Robin right on there, you know? Zoom back a little bit. Who's to say you can't? And who's to say, oh, I don't have enough space for this bad boy. And who's to say you know? Who's to say that can't be your display? Get out of here, Kilmer. You chose not to do the movie. Who's to say that can't be your display? You can do whatever you want and hodgepodge this whole freaking line and customize it to your liking. You know, that's what I dig about essentially what all this is it's a DC multiverse. It's these characters and all their interpretations, but since they're all made to a similar 7-inch scale, you can kind of have fun with them. You can have a lot of fun with them. I'm just playing with them right now. I'm so happy I got this. It is so great to have these movie figures. Drop that Batman Forever wave. I'm copping them. Panther suit, black suit, Kilmer. Tim Drake style suit, Robin. And I actually don't need, I don't need a Mr. Sorry. I don't need a Two-Face. I never really loved Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face, so I don't need it, but yo, if they drop that Jim Carrey Riddler, that's what I'm getting. And I don't know what they would build a figure to, so that's what I'd be getting. Those three, if they ever drop it. So what do you think? Are you guys getting these figures? Are you on the hunt for these figures? Check out figureneforall.com if you can't find these on Amazon or Big Bag Toy Store. And go to cmdstore.com. You know, that also is a really great Canadian store that has a lot of figures. But anyways, I've taken up so much of your time. Let me know what you think about these figures. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. Peace.
y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking